This video is sponsored by PoketownStore.com, the best place to get yourself some TCGO code cards. Looking for that last card to complete your online deck, or just to get the latest booster packs in town like Crowns in it, for example. They literally have everything, and you can use the coupon code ZapDosTCG for 5% off your order. This video is also sponsored by CARDMARKET.com. This is a European platform where you're able to buy and sell cards to people all across Europe. I personally use it every single day, and you can use the referral name ZapDosTCG to help support the channel. This video is also sponsored by PLAYMAT.com. This is a platform where you're able to upload your favorite wallpaper and they turn it into a beautiful playmat. You can now have 10% off your order by clicking the link down below, and they ship worldwide, so definitely check it out. Last but certainly not least is going to be DragonShield.com. Dragon Shield is the best brand to protect your beautiful cards, and they have the best quality sleeves available, and you can of course check it out by clicking the links down below. They have sleeves, binders, and deck boxes of the best quality around. I use them in every single tournament, and you guys should do the exact same thing. Thank you a lot for sticking around with the commercials, and enjoy the video. Peace. Sup YouTube, it's ZapDosTCG here, and welcome back to our TCG video on my channel. On this channel you get daily Pokemon TCG uploads, so be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. Today on the menu is a tier list for EUIC. Of course in London will be the internationals, in Europe of course the first tournament with post-rotation and the Scarlet and Violet format. So I tested a lot of post-rotation decks already. I actually did a prediction tier list already, but this is going to be more focused on testing. So let's get this video out of the way with MIRAIDON. MIRAIDON is of course a new archetype from the Scarlet and Violet set. Of course you have that cool looking Regieleki VMAX that you can use with that MIRAIDON EX. The tandem unit allows you to of course set up instantly, so this deck instantly sets up, which is a very good thing about this deck. I would still place it in tier 2 just because of the lost boxes in the format that have a favorable matchup against this. Some lost box decks are now implementing Galarian Zapdos V, which can of course take 4 prize cards on a Regieleki VMAX with that Sky Seal Stone. That makes it a little bit of a concern for sure, so that's why we are putting it here on the tier 2 slots for MIRAIDON EX. Also wanted to be doing this in real life with the real cards, because I like changing things up a bit on the channel. So we're putting this on tier 2. Moving forward, we're going to be talking about that tier 1 deck that I showcased before. So we have Sableye, aka represented for the Lost Box decks with Sky Seal Stone. Sky Seal Stone is just so great in the Lost Zone box decks because you have a Raikou V as an attacker, you have Drapion V, you have of course the aforementioned Galarian Zapdos V. So all of these Pokemon can take additional prize cards. Drapion can take 4 prize cards on a Mew VMAX. The Raikou V can take 3 prize cards on Lugia VSTAR, which is also still in the format. Also could work against Palkia VSTAR, and then of course the Galarian Zapdos punishing of course the Regieleki VMAX. So yeah, we're putting the Lost Box deck and solid tier 1, and the reason why we're putting it in tier 1 is that for a couple of things. Scoop Up Net has rotated, which means if you're able to of course Lost Mine as early as your 3rd or 4th turn to spread damage like crazy, the opponent doesn't have a way to heal off all that damage. I know we've seen Radiant, Serena, and Lugia VSTAR. Some Gardevoir decks are also playing that Champions Festival to of course make sure they can heal a little bit here and there, but the main point is clear. Without Scoop Up Net in the format and the early game aggression that a Lost Zone box deck has with Cramorant, just makes it tier 1 for sure. This is the deck to beat, by the way, if you're going to EUIC or if you're playing a tournament post-rotation. This is the deck you need to look out for. It is going to be a Lost Zone box. Moving forward is Gardevoir with that Psychic Embrace ability. The cool thing is that with Zacian V from the Celebration set and that Sky Seal Stone, Gardevoir can uptrade against any deck whatsoever, because you're going to be able to accelerate as many energies as often as you like during your turn. I know you put 2 damage counters for every energy attached, but this doesn't matter because Gardevoir EX has of course the aforementioned 1 prize Gardevoir, which of course with the Shining Arcana is going to be the Gardevoir that's going to be causing some headaches for a lot of players. Definitely with the Emergency Jelly as its tool card, allowing it to of course heal up while being a fresh Gardevoir with like 8 energies or something. Very scary to deal with. So it's a stage 2 deck, requires some setup here and there. and we're putting it here on the tier 2 slot because, as mentioned, it's still tier 2 because there is of course Lost Box that has a favorable matchup against Gardevoir, and not only that, there's still Mew VMAX with of course Path and Judge, which is a very crazy headache because of the fact that a stage 2 deck that gets like judged on turn 1 and gets slapped around with is definitely scary. Gardevoir can of course up trade thanks to that Zacian, but I would still put it here on a solid tier 2 deck. So the new archetypes from Scarlet and Violet are both tier 2 decks. I know tier 2 decks can still win tournaments. If we take a look at like the Reggie deck before it was also still a tier 2 deck. Think about Arceus Duraludon was also a tier 2 deck. Those decks can win tournaments, but if you look at the statistics, they are tier 2 decks. They are tier 1 because they are a little bit harder to check. Moving forward, we're going to be talking about Mew VMAX. Mew VMAX has been around for ages and it's not going anywhere. Of course, with the draw power that Genesect V provides, you're going to have such an amazing time drawing through half of your deck. Turn 1, you can play with the DTE Judge build with Path, or you can go from Meloetta to donk people. The cool thing is that a lot of these archetypes do have 2-price Pokemon in them. Lost Zone Box deck can of course start with Raikou, they can start with Galarian Zapdos V, and if they do that and you have the Meloetta build, you're going to have such a great time. You of course can use the Max Miracle to go through any effects, but more importantly, there's Psychic Leap capabilities for Mew VMAX to prevent knockouts. So I think this deck is still super great, and it's also the reason why most decks out there are still playing Drapion, because they need to respect Mew, because if they're not respecting Mew, it just walks away with the tournament win. So yeah, solid tier 1 deck for me, Mew VMAX. Now let's talk about a tier 3 deck, shall we? Let's talk about Urshifu. Urshifu is of course back in the format. The thing is that without the Inteleon engine, it's a little bit less consistent. You of course can rely on Octillery to find of course Karina's focus, find your Rapid Strike energy, etc. But I would still place Rapid Strike Urshifu in tier 3. The cool thing is that Arceus builds are doing well, and that is also very good. Miraidoon, if Miraidoon does well, Urshifu has a great time. The problem I see with Urshifu VMAX right here is that there are 2 Psychic decks in the format that just hold it back from becoming better than tier 3. Moving forward, also if you see any deck on this video that you might want to see in a different tier, let me know in the comments down below. And also if I forget a couple of decks that you want to be seeing on a tier list, let me know down below as well, because these are all the decks I've tested with so far, and this is a tier list based on testing. As mentioned, Urshifu can of course punish down on Miraidoon, can use that G-Max Rapid Flow, but I see a problem here because the Manaphy is almost like it is in the Gardevoir deck, it is in the Lost Zone Box deck. So Manaphy is still prevalent in the format, and the reason for that is that Radiant Greninja is of course a card that exists, and with of course Mirage Gate out there, you definitely need to have Manaphy in your deck, and that punishes Urshifu from taking multiple prize cards with that G-Max Rapid Flow. You can of course try to go for Canceling Cologne and of course a Balsasaurus here and there, but without of course the Shade Healing engines, it's hard to get those puzzle pieces out. Moving forward, Lugia VSTAR with a single strike package, of course Tyranitar V, Stonejourner, you name it. Lugia is still strong, but after testing, I think it definitely has dropped down from tier 1 all the way to tier 2. The reason for that is that the capturing aroma is not always that consistent. Sometimes you want an evolution and you get a basic, and vice versa. Also, without Quick Ball in the format, it's sometimes a little bit more difficult to discard those Archeops. Sometimes you have to use Luminion to go for Burnett, and then Luminion becomes kind of a target. So I don't know how to feel about Lugia in the post-rotation format. If I were playing any deck, it probably wouldn't be Lugia, because in the format we're in right now with like Silver Tempest and all that stuff going on, Crown Zenith, Lugia has always had some terrible draws. Sometimes you have those opening hands that you have nothing to do, and with post rotation that gets a little bit worse. You of course have single strike attackers in the form of the Stonejourner, which can hit weakness against Miraidoon. You of course have access to that Tyranitar V, which can blow up on anything and also hits weakness against Gardevoir and Mew. So Lugia is still a deck to be reckoned with. Once you get like 2 Archeops in play, it is still one of the stronger decks in the format, but I personally would have put it in tier 2 for now. Moving forward, Giratina VSTAR. Ever since Lost Origin, this deck was very strong. Then it fell to the wayside with Silver Tempest, but now it's completely back. Did you see all the things I talked about Lost Zone box where they have like no scoop ups in the format anymore, where Sableye is just pretty much unchecked? Well, Pro in the edition, that big Parasol has rotated and Giratina is here to snap on everything, to one-hit KO with that Star Requiem. You can play a little bit turbo with Lost Vacuums, you can go for that new Beach Core to have free retreat on your comp phase. The cool thing is Giratina can of course one-hit KO on anything and has lost impact for 280 damage. 280, nothing to be laughing with, because with a simple choice badge you can of course hit VMAX instantly. You can also take down Gardevoir EX, so this is a very strong deck. It has the full package and I'm a big fan of it. I've tested Giratina a lot and I think it's definitely tier 1 in my book, and you have so many things you could do. You can Chorton yourself into a Giratina VSTAR out of nowhere. You can be playing the Giratina VSTAR with other capabilities, with choice belt as mentioned to hit more damage. You can be playing more turbo so you can get that Mirage Gate more quickly. I think this is definitely a strong deck. The only bad thing is that Giratina VSTAR doesn't have the most favorable time against the pure one price Lost Zone box. Moving forward, let's talk about Palkia VSTAR. You sometimes see this with Ice Rider, Color X, VMAX. Sometimes you see that with a big barrel and the Mew from Celebration Engine. Palkia is still a strong card, but because of the fact that Lost Box is around, because of the fact that the Miraraidon hits you for weakness, and Gardevoir has just too much HP and can uptrade very easily with that Zacian to take 3 prize cards, it's still a tier 3 deck in my book. You might be able to of course make a Palkia deck work and even win tournaments with it, but for now let's just put it in tier 3. Moving forward, let's talk about the goo in the room, shall we? Goodra VSTAR is a very, very solid deck. We've seen that it works out in the Silver Tempest format. Now Lugia has fallen down the wayside a little bit. Goodra is great against Lost Zone boxes. Still has a little bit less of a good time against Mew VMAX, but with a couple of Drapion, that solution is very good. But it does have a terrible Giratina VSTAR matchup. So with, of course, the Mew VMAX being in tier 1, Giratina being in tier 1, I think we're gonna have to put the goo in tier 2 here. It is only right because of the fact that it has like some terrible matchups in tier 1, but across the board, Goodra can of course be very good. You have great time against the Lost Zone box, you have a great time against the Miraido, which sometimes doesn't hit the numbers because that 80 reduction will allow a Goodra VSTAR to survive, and you of course can use Cramorant in the early game aggression. Cool deck for sure, that is tier 2. Then Giratina VSTAR with Arceus is also still a deck. It's seeing a lot of play in Japan as of late. I'm wondering if I should put it in tier 1 or in tier 2. The problem I see here is that Galarian Zapdos V seems to be like in a lot of decks right now. Also Mew VMAX can, if you have only 2 prizers in your deck, you know Meloetta is going to eat you up alive. And it has a less time against like the Lost Box Tina, because Lost Box Tina is reasonably faster and can of course charge up Giratina VSTAR out of nowhere. I'll put it in tier 2 as well, and now that I'm completely honest, I'll be dropping the Goodra in tier 3 and putting this like this. Okay, the decks that we are missing out on right now is the Hisuian Zoroark VSTAR deck. I'll probably put that in tier 3, and as well as the Arceus Darylodon. Also a great deck, but as mentioned, Mew VMAX is around, Tina can snap you, I would put it in tier 3 as well. So this is my tier list based on testing for EUIC. If I was going to EUIC, which I am, I probably would be picking one of the tier 1 decks right here. Although if you train hard enough and know the matchups inside out, a tier 2 deck can also be very great to win the tournament with. Let me know your opinions down below in the comment section. Thank you for watching today's upload. Of course, if you enjoyed it, let me know by slapping the hell out of the like button. Go check out, of course, our other videos on post rotation, and let me know which video you want to be seeing up next. Go check out our sponsors as well, links down below. PokemonStore.com for the best place to get, of course, TCGO code cards. They also work for TCG Live, and these are the codes you're going to be needing to, of course, start playing post rotation on TCG Live. Then, of course, there's Dragon Shield for your sleeves, binders, and deck boxes, links down below. There's also yourplaymat.com to create your own custom playmat from scratch. There's a link down below where you can get 10% off to, of course, create your own unique custom playmat, and they ship worldwide. Last but not least is CARDMARKET.com, where you're able to buy and sell cards to people all across Europe. So if you're a European player, definitely check it out. Sell some of the cards you don't need to, of course, buy newer ones. And of course, use the referral name TCG to help support the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for more Pokemon TCG epicness. Peace.